Good morning, YouTube. I am Mitchell Cotton. Welcome back to Morning Wood. And today we're going to be running through my running backs 13 through 24. So who I think are going to finish as the RB2s this year. And we'll just jump into it. Starting off at 13, real hot, we got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, CEH. This guy came into the best rookie running back in just any running back scenario that you could possibly. The running back one in an Andy Reid offense has always produced fantasy-wise year over year, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire should be no different. He is an excellent pass catcher. He's an excellent runner. He's an excellent all-around running back. He's a little undersized by height, but weight, he's still a workhorse back guy. I mean, he's still 210 pounds. If you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, that's really the only argument you need to make for a running back, so long as you're going to be the guy, which we think he should be. Yeah, Damian Williams is going to take away a good amount of work because it was his backfield last year, and he's still a good running back. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is significantly more talented, has more upside, and there's a lot to like about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That offense is so potent. They're going to be throwing a lot. They're going to be throwing a lot to the running back, too. Not the running back too, but the running back also. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to see a ton of work from that. Love Clyde this year. 14, I got Miles Sanders. Now, I think I said in the last video that these rankings, and I'll say it again, my rankings here are as of mid-May 2020, and fuck 2020, you guys know obviously it's 2020. But anyway, they're subject to change, essentially, as the offseason progresses, basically just as more data is just looked through by me, and if anything changes throughout the offseason, guys come out and say stuff, owners make claims, GMs, head coaches say what they want to do, things will change, and Miles Sanders is a guy who is in a spot where things could definitely change for him. He could skyrocket, and he could completely plummet, because there are rumors that the Eagles are interested in Carlos Hyde. And if that's the case, then he is going to plummet, because Doug Peterson loves a running back by committee, and that sucks ass for fantasy. But this offseason, they haven't targeted anybody. They haven't signed anybody. So right now, it's just Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. And if that's the case, then Miles Sanders is going to turn into a workhorse type running back. And if that's the case, there's a lot of cases here apparently, he's going to be a top 10 running back. I mean, he could easily go inside the top 10 at 8, 9. But right now, I'm kind of playing it safe in the middle of the pack because we don't know what's going to happen. If they sign Carlos Hyde, he's going to drop. If they don't, he's going to skyrocket. So right now, it's just kind of like a wow. Right now, it's just like a situation where no one's really sure what's going to happen yet. Nothing has happened. We've just heard rumors. I got him at 14 because you love the talent. He's ultra fast, ultra good in the passing game, quick, got the size. He's got everything that you want in a workhorse running back. But, yeah, I just like Miles Sanders a lot. The offense as a whole should just get a lot better this year. And while you might say, well, aren't there more mouths to feed now? Because Jeffrey's coming back, Deshaun's coming back, they drafted Jalen Reagor, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Boston Scott's a good pass catcher. Yeah, there's a few mouths to feed, but there's always been a few mouths to feed in Philly, at least in the past couple of years. And last year, Miles Sanders still ate. I mean, he was facing a lot of stacked boxes with a lot of guys were just stuffed in the box, and he was still able to produce because the guy is so freakishly talented. The only reason why he wasn't more highly touted coming out of college is because he only had 1 year being the dude at Penn State, because guess who was ahead of him? Saquon Barkley. Yeah, anyone's going to be the backup behind Saquon. I love Miles Sanders, though, coming into his second year, and I got him at 14. 15, I got Chris Carson. There is a lot to like about Chris Carson, but there is also risk associated with Chris Carson. The dude has not finished a full football season, albeit however many games it is, college, professional, since he was a junior in high school. Yeah, he hasn't finished an entire season of football since he was back in grade school. And there's risk. Like I said, there's risk with Chris Carson. If he stays healthy though, his points per game basis, the amount of points that he scores on a point per game basis, not stretched out through the entire season in totals, is phenomenal. And he is the absolute number one definitively in Seattle. They drafted DJ Dallas in like the 4th or 5th round or something, who's more of just a power guy. Rashad Penny is a good running back too, but I mean, when he was healthy last year, they still didn't use him a ton. They liked Chris Carson, and for good reason. When you feed him the ball, he does well. He was also 5th in rush attempts last year. You know he's going to be the dude. He's getting a ton of carries. He's getting the goal line work. He's getting everything. He's even getting a little bit of the receiving game. Now, he's not going to be someone like a Kamara, Saquon, or McCaffrey, but he still gets a decent amount of receiving work. And with that offense just hopefully taking a step forward with them getting Will Dissly back, who is ultra unathletic and should be the face of just white people in general because he's very unathletic, was productive last year when he was healthy, but then he went down with the injury, and then DK Metcalf coming into his second year should take another step forward. If you got Russell Wilson as your quarterback, good things are going to happen. It doesn't matter what it is. But I just like Chris Carson a lot. I got him at 15. I think he's a guy who could finish as, like I said, there's risk associated with him. He could finish as the RB30. He could also finish as the RB7. You know, he's that good. He's got the talent. He's got the power. He's got the target share and the workload share. It's just a matter of whether or not the guy stays healthy. And, you know, fingers crossed he finally does. But I'm not staying away from Chris Carson in drafts coming this year. I'm just a little bit more hesitant. And, I mean, like I said, things are subject to change as the season or as the offseason progresses. He could very easily move up in my rankings because right now they're saying that they think he's going to be ready for week 1. If that's the case, that's tough to put a lot of draft capital into him because let's say he's not ready week 1 and you spend a 2nd or 3rd round pick on him and you don't have your 2nd or 3rd round pick playing until weeks, I don't even know, 4? Like, let's say he misses the first 3 weeks. Your team's going to be hurting. But if he is healthy, then, like I said, he's going to have all the work. He's going to have the receiving game. He's going to have all the carries. He's going to have everything he needs on a good offense with arguably the best quarterback in the league, outside of maybe Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson, though. So 15, Chris Carson. At 16, I got Leonard Fournette. Honestly, I only have Leonard Fournette this high just because I really think that Jacksonville is just going to absolutely run him into the ground and just give him so many carries that he breaks down because they don't want him. They were actively shopping him the entire offseason. He is talented. Guy can't stay healthy, though. He's been injury prone typically throughout his career. But I think that since Jacksonville kind of realizes that they're stuck with him and nobody else wanted him, that they're just going to run him into the ground and get as much out of him as they can while they still have him and then ship him off probably next year. There's not much to say about Leonard Fournette. We all know he's going to get the carries. The guy's always been a guy who, I say guy way too much. Holy shit. All right, I'll try to work on that. He gets all the carries there in Jacksonville. His backup is Raquel Armstead. Exactly. I mean, who cares? Nobody does. He actually gets a lot of the receiving work, too. He was averaging a bunch of targets last year. He was 4th in targets last year at 6.6 targets a game. The guy was almost averaging, I said it again, the guy was averaging almost 7 targets a game, and he gets the receiving work, he gets the goal line work. The case that you could make for him to be higher is because he scored touchdowns at an incredibly low rate. The guy, I did it again, damn it, he was 37th in touchdowns last year. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, who averages almost 20 carries a game, had 3 rushing touchdowns. So just playing by the numbers and statistics, you would expect that to regress positively back to the median range or the mean, and he would obviously have a much better fantasy season. But then there's always the injury risk, and there could just be the fact that while Jacksonville, planning on getting rid of him, runs him into the ground, there is also the flip side where they might just try to phase him out and see what they got in a couple of their backups. But I like Leonard Fournette regardless. I'm not staying away from him. But I got him at 16. 17, I got Le'Veon Bell. I have like a good gut feeling about Le'Veon Bell this year. I would have no problem someone taking Le'Veon Bell in like the 4th round, which is probably where he's going to be going. 4th, kind of mid 4th, maybe early 5th if he falls a little bit. Because while Adam Gase is a terrible, make no mistake, fucking terrible head coach, the offensive line got better. They went offensive line in the 1st round. Sam Darnold should take a step forward coming into his 3rd year. You would expect at some point for them to really just have Darnold break out. They also got him some help in Denzel Mims, so he'll be facing less stacked boxes. He's also a running back who can he's good in the receiving game. I mean, in Pittsburgh, he was a good pass catcher. He was very involved in the pass game. So if they pass it more and they get him more routes run, then he's going to be catching the ball more, and that's going to bode well for fantasy. Obviously, it's full PPR. This whole list is full PPR. I don't know if I said that. But Le'Veon Bell at 17. At 18, I got Johnathan Taylor. I'm not sure what to think of Johnathan Taylor entirely yet, because with Marlon Mack still there, I mean, they've come out and said that they kind of want it to be an RB1A and an RB1B, where they're both getting equal amount of work. But the thing is, the Colts are a well-run organization, and they know that they can win now. They signed Phillip Rivers to win now, and if they do want to just keep staying with that mentality, they should go with Johnathan Taylor, because he is so much more talented. Instead of just trying to ease him in and go for the long term, they should just really just feed him the ball, because he's so much more talented, he's more athletic, and he's better than Marlon Mack. But there's still the fact that, I mean, if they come out and say that they want it to be kind of a 1-2 punch type thing, that's going to hurt his draft stock, and it's going to hurt his fantasy stock overall. But I got him at 18. Again, I'm not staying away from Johnathan Taylor. Everybody's a good draft pick at the right value. But he's not a guy who I'm ever going to reach for. Like, if I'm reaching for a player, it's not going to be Johnathan Taylor. 19, I got Todd Gurley. Really, the only reason why I have Todd Gurley here is because I just like the Atlanta offense as a whole. There's not a lot of mouths to feed. They have Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, sort of Hayden Hurst, I guess, and the running back behind Todd Gurley is Ito Smith. What? They've said that they want to get another guy and have it be a running back by committee, but they haven't gone out and got anyone. So if they don't, and Gurley is that guy, Ito Smith is not going to be a significant fantasy threat. If he gets the workload, if he stays healthy, he could finish as a good running back, a low-end RB1, high-end RB2. And that's weird to say, because there was a couple years ago where Todd Gurley was arguably the number 1 overall pick in fantasy drafts. But now in Atlanta, he had a bad offense last year. He had a really bad rush yards per attempt at like 3.3 or something, just abysmal and bad in comparison to everyone else, all the other guys that I got on this list. But going to Atlanta, his offensive line situation doesn't get really much better at all. If anything, it stays really the same. There's not guys so far, at least, that I'm going to be staying away from. Gurley is a guy who I would stay away from, just because there's a lot of risk associated with him, and he's just Todd Gurley. He could just get hurt. I mean, who knows? But Todd Gurley at 19. 20, I got Mark Ingram. He's 30, on the wrong side of it. They draft J.K. Dobbins in the 2nd. Dobbins is, at this point in Ingram's career, more talented and athletic. It depends which road they go, because they could use them both. But it's just the fact that the reason why I have him at 20 still is because Baltimore is probably the best rushing offense in the NFL. At least the most consistent and the most run-heavy offense in the NFL. So he's going to get his work. He's not super involved in the pass game, but neither is J.K. Dobbins. And we thought Justice Hill last year was going to kind of make his way into the offense and take that more of a third down role. He didn't. It was just Ingram. He hasn't also suffered too many injuries in his career. Last year he did, but at least towards the very end of the season. But I don't hate Ingram this year. I really don't. I'm not staying away from Ingram. He'd be a guy who I wouldn't mind to get in the 4th, 5th round of a draft, and I'd be happy with him as like an RB2, a high-end RB3, probably an RB3. I wouldn't hate it at all. I like Mark Ingram still. 21, Devin Singletary. Still can't speak. I like him a lot, honestly. What sucked because they went Zach Moss in the draft, and it just drove a knife through my heart when they did that because I was really, really high on Devin Singletary. I feel like a lot of people were. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. Last year, even with Frank Gore being there, he saw a ton of workload, and the only thing that was missing from his resume, at least in the second half of the year, where they kind of started to make him the number one back there, is the goal line carries. I mean, he had 2 of, I think, an available 17 goal line carries. The other 15 or whatever it was going to both Frank Gore, Josh Allen, and I think just those 2. So we were hoping that throughout the offseason, if they didn't get anyone, that Singletary would just naturally absorb some of those lost goal line carries that Frank Gore left behind when he was gone. But then they draft Zach Moss, who's very powerful, is a good workhorse profile type guy. And it hurt Singletary, and in my rankings at least. I moved him down because seeing Zach Moss there he's ultra talented. He could easily step into the role as the RB1 there. There's no question about it. But again, he's not a guy who I'm going to stay away from. Basically, all these guys here, like I said, these are all RB2s. You know, it's people that you're not going to hate having as your RB2. I wouldn't mind Devin Singletary as my RB2 at a good value, at least at the right price. 22, I got Cam Akers. Now, I love the situation that Cam Akers went into because although, as I mentioned earlier, Todd Gurley didn't have a great offensive line last year in LA, the year before that, they were the best rushing offensive line in the league. So they saw massive regression, which is honestly pretty typical year to year to see offensive lines kind of fluctuate. The severity of which it happened is not common. And if they see some sort of regression, they signed Andrew Whitworth, old man, back to another contract. Maybe he's just got a little bit more gas in the tank. But he's going to be the guy there. I mean, Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown. McVay's come out and said, oh, we have 3 good running backs here that we can trust. Yeah, bullshit. You have Cam Akers, and that's who you need to use. Sean McVay, use Cam Akers. Please. He's better. He's more talented. He had the single worst offensive line in the entire FBS last year with Florida State. If he gets even a mediocre upgrade to an NFL caliber offensive line, or just even if it returns to somewhat of the form that it was in 2018, he's going to be in such a great spot in such a high velocity, fast-paced offense that they run out there in LA. 23, I got Melvin Gordon. I am much lower on Melvin Gordon than I think everyone else is. There's so many mouths to feed in Denver. I mean, they already had Courtland Sutton, Phillip Lindsay, and Noah Fant. Okay, that's totally fine. You can still eat in that workload, even if you are splitting the workload with Phillip Lindsay. And then they draft Jerry Jeudy, and then they draft KJ Hamler, and then they draft Albert O. And now it's like there's so much talent, and you get why they're doing it. I mean, they're trying to give Drew Lock all the weapons and the tools they need to succeed in his second year and just going forward. But it just makes the fantasy situation in Denver very cloudy because we don't know. I mean, obviously, Courtland Sutton's going to be the guy. We think Melvin Gordon is going to be, at least a receiver, we think Melvin Gordon is going to be the RB1, but we don't really know. And it depends on, I guess, just how the chips fall. But I got Melvin Gordon at 23. Again, not staying away from him. He's still so talented. He's really fast, really powerful, big workhorse profile, but the situation could be better. There's just a lot of talent there. And while I think it can be a good real-life offense, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good for fantasy because you want the guy who's going to get all the work, and we don't know who that's going to be in Denver. 24, rounding out the RB2s, is David Montgomery. He is flying under the radar, David Montgomery. You can get this guy in the 6th round, in the 7th. I've even seen the 8th round, which is ridiculous. If you have David Montgomery, who's easily, without question, the number 1 running back in Chicago, your team's going to be looking really good. He gets all the carries. Yeah, Tariq Cohen takes away some of the receiving work, but he gets all the goal line work also. And the offense should also, just as a whole, be better this year with them, pray to God, starting Nick Foles this year over Mitch Trubisky, because Foles is better, more talented, more accurate, more everything. Mitch Trubisky is terrible and shouldn't even be employed by an NFL team. He should be bagging groceries. That's a little harsh, maybe not. But I like David Montgomery a lot. He's a guy who, like I said, I think he's flying under the radar. I will be targeting definitely in fantasy drafts in the mid-rounds because there's a lot to like about him. He's going to get the workload. It should be a better offense. A great head coach, Matt Nagy, very creative. He can scheme things for him because he's that talented and that good. And he was a rookie last year. You know, coming into his second year, guys are typically going to progress. The standard breakout age where running backs have their prime season is at age 25. He's 22. He's young. He still has more room to grow. And I think he will this year. I think he takes a big step forward this year. I have him at 24. Like I said, things are subject to change, but Dave Montgomery is a running back who could very easily move up in my rankings, just depending on how I feel, because the opportunity is definitely there. It's just a matter of whether or not Trubisky is still the quarterback or not, which, like I said, please don't start Trubisky. But anyway, those are my RB2 rankings for the 2020 season. If you guys wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn on the notification bell if you want, just to be notified when this jackass Mitchell Cotton is going to be uploading a video and wasting your time, or maybe entertaining you. Maybe you think I'm so bad that it's like, oh my God, we should just watch this guy and make fun of him. Totally fine too. I won't take offense to it. You guys can do whatever you want. Throw a party in the comments. I don't care. Say something. Fucking tell me I'm dog shit. I don't care. I mean, it's fine. But yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button or the like button, that would mean a lot to me. It'd be great. Trying to grow the channel. Trying to grow the channel over time. Starting off real early still. Obviously, only a handful of videos, but it's going to be a regular thing. I'm going to be doing daily uploads for the next month here. See how it works, and just we'll see how things play out. If you guys like it, I'll keep doing it. If not, then I still might keep doing it. You'll just have to deal with it. But yeah, so morning wood, stay hard.